بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ونور قلوبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. نوعنا تعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم، ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدني مشرب صافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدني ومشرب صافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدني ومشرب صافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين آمين آمين. Okay, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. We're continuing with our class. Alhamdulillah. So the last lesson we were actually up to this part, right, on Tarahul Mani' wa Zawalul Mani'. So Tarahul Mani' is basically when what prevents the prayer comes, right? And zawalul mani', it means when what has stopped, what was preventing someone from performing the prayer ceases to exist, right? So tarahul mani' wa zawalul mani'. Okay, so let me just read from here. Where was it? Okay, so here when a child reaches puberty, or the one who is insane regains his sanity, or when the one who lost his consciousness becomes conscious again, or a disbeliever reverts back to Islam. Uh, uh, so here I want to correct this, okay? Correct this, okay? When the person enters Islam, is different from a murtad coming in. Is different, eh? Right? So we just correct that one. Let me just put it down. Okay. So wa aslama kafir. Right. So when let's put it here. Make it smaller. Okay. When a disbeliever, when an you say an original non-Muslim, you say Muslim, I enters Islam. Right. It's important to say this because it is different between those who are originally non-Muslim and those who are murtad. Right. The ruling of murtad and the ruling of a al-kafir asli. They call it kafir asli. That means born non-Muslim. Different ruling. Right. So the one who's born a non-Muslim, when he enters into Islam, he needs to perform his prayers. The one who is a murtad, he needs to make up all the prayers he missed in his period of time whereby he was a murtad. And he needs to make up all the prayers, as opposed to the one who was a kafir asli. Right? Kafir asli, an original non-Muslim, enters into Islam. Okay? Or a woman becoming pure from menstruation and postnatal bleeding, right? Before the time prayer has left, even if the time permits only for the performance of a takbir, right? For a level of time for a takbir, level of time for a takbir, right? So, for most of us, right, the issue, let's highlight this again, right? Okay, right. So for most of us, can replace this. For most of us, we are under this one, right? We are a woman becoming pure from menstruation or postnatal bleeding. Okay, right? So before a time prayer has lapsed, even the time permits only for the performance of a takbir. Just that you're only able to do a takbir, right? So it does not count that you have the time to bathe and all that. If it's so basically a takbir is how long? A takbir is about 2 seconds, maybe 1 second. Right, so 2 seconds. Right, 2 seconds. Right, or maybe 1 second. Allahu Akbar. 1, 2 seconds around there. Right. So if you go to the bathroom and you find that you are pure, just 2 seconds before the end of the prayer time, that prayer is compulsory on you. And if that prayer is connected to a prayer before it by jama', you know, when you jama' prayers, right? When you jama' prayer, you combine prayers, right? So for example, right, clean, right? If you are clean, right, at afwan, just type it out like easier to write it out. Okay, so if you are, so in this situation, right, so you are clean at the end of asar, right? So 2 seconds before maghrib you are clean, right? So you have no time to bathe, of course, no time to bathe, no time to pray, nothing, right? So what is on you? I must put downstairs, it down, must qada asar and zuhur. Okay, so clean at the end of isha. Okay, must qada isha and maghrib. Okay, right? If it's clean at the end of maghrib, then it's maghrib. If clean at the end of zohor, just zohor. If clean at the end of subuh, just subuh, right? So however, clean at the end of subuh or zohor or maghrib, right? Then just qada that particular prayer and no other prayer. Okay, all right. Okay, so for subuh, zohor, and maghrib, if you're clean just at the end of subuh, zohor, or maghrib, just call that particular prayer. It's okay. Right? The one before that, tak payah. You don't have to qada what was before that. Right? Whereas if you were clean at the end of asar and isha, then you must do the one that was before that. Because it can be jamak. You can jamak it. Okay. All right. Okay. Continuing. Right. So this is called zawalul mani'. It's called zawalul mani'. That means what prevented the prayer was removed. What prevented the prayer was removed. All right. Going down. So therefore, it becomes compulsory on them to make up the prayers on condition that they are free of any impediments. Right. So zawal mani'. Right. So impediments for the duration of time that allows for the performance of purification and prayer. Right. So okay, this one, right, وجب وأسلم كافر أو طهورت الحائض أو نفساء قبل خروج الوقت ولو بتكبيره وجب القضاء بشرط بقاء السلامة من الموانع بقدر ما يسع الطهارة والصلاة ويجب قضاء ما قبلها إن جمعت معها بشرط السلامة من الموانع قدر الفرضين والطهارة. نعم. ولو جن أو حاضت أو أغمي عليه أول الوقت وجب القضاء أن مضى قدر الفرض مع الطهر إن لم يمكن تقديمه. نعم. Okay, so here, so all this is obligatory on them to make up for the prayers on condition that they are free from any impediments to pray during a time that allows for the performance of purification and prayer. Right, so once the impediments have been removed, right, they need to go and perform purification and the prayer, and obligatory to make up the previous obligatory prayer that could possibly be combined with the current prayer, meaning what can be jama'. Right, so what can be jama', you need to make up that one as well. On condition one is free of any impediments to pray for the duration that allows for the performance of the two obligatory prayers and purification. Right, so so the entire time you are praying and you are purifying, it is enough time for you to perform it. Right, so what it means here is that, so for example, someone finishes her menses, right, and then at the end of zohor. Okay, so now she has to make up Zohor. So she needs enough time to go and purify herself from her menses and then pray her Zohor, even though it's in Asr time, right? So it is compulsory for her to do this for as long as no other impediment occurs to her. So, for example, right, if she becomes insane, so now an impediment happened, right, to her. So she became insane within a timing that was not enough, not long enough for her to have purified herself and prayed, right? Then that prayer then she cannot, that prayer is not on her, and because she came into she had no time to purify herself and to pray before she became crazy. It's something about she became insane. It's something that is not common, right? Not usual, right? But can possibly happen, okay, to a person. Okay, so that, and now comes the طرح المانع. طرح المانع is when, if a person becomes mad, insane, experiences menses or faints at the start of a prayer timing, it is obligatory for that person to do qada if there was enough time for him to take ablution and perform the prayer, which otherwise it's not possible for a person to proceed it with purification, right? So so it's which in lam yumkin taqdimuhu. Okay, so here in this situation, right, if a person experiences something that will prevent the prayer from them, right? For example, menses lah. For most of us, it's menses. So if your menses comes and you had enough time to have done purification and done the prayer, but you did not do so and your menses came, then that prayer becomes wajib on you to qada. Okay, it becomes wajib on you to qada. Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, that one there's no questions. So we're continuing with the part on the timing of the prayers. Right, bismillah. Okay, فصل وأول وقت الظهر زوال الشمس. This is all revision from your Safina to Najah. Right, so what we have taken in Safina, it will be repeated in Muqaddimah, and that is how we learn fiqh. Right, we learn fiqh by repeating information over and over again, so that it is at your fingertips and you remember this information, right, properly. Right, so what we have learned in Safina is repeated here. Right, and if anything that you need to clarify, please clarify. Okay, chapter on the timing of the prayers. Right, chapter, the beginning time of Zohar prayer is when the sun has passed the zenith towards the west. Right, so zenith is, where is zenith is istiwa. Right, it is when the sun is directly overhead. This happens about 5 to 10 minutes before it goes into Zohar. So you look if you look at the footnote over there, the time of istiwa is when the sun is exactly over one's head. A slight circular shadow of an object is visible at the bottom. This is what the author is referring to as excess, right? In the second part, the ending of a time is when the shadow of a thing becomes as long as the item in excess of the shadow. That means in addition. In excess meaning in addition to the shadow that existed during the istiwa time. All right. So, and I've drawn this for you all in Najah, but I'll just draw it again. Right. So, so if this is the object, just draw it here. Okay. If this is the object, right? Okay. And when the sun is overhead, is the sun. Okay. So the shadow, I'm just draw the shadow in. I use a dark green lah. Okay. So the shadow, right, of the overhead sun is like this. There is a small shadow, right, of the overhead sun. Unless you're exactly on the equator, where your shadow is just directly underneath your feet. Right? If you're not exactly on the equator, there will be a slight shadow, right, that moves away from your body. Okay, this is like you would call like a zero error, right? So there's a small amount of shadow here. Okay, so when the sun, okay, if I say that here is east, right, and here is west. So the sun rises from the east and the sun sets in the west, right? So the moment the sun tilts, right? The moment the sun tilts, let me just draw a longer shadow using light green. It tilts towards the west, right? This becomes longer on this side. Okay? This is the beginning of Zohor. Right? Zohor starts. Okay? Alright. And then it continues until the shadow becomes the length of the object, not counting the original shadow when the sun is overhead. See that? Right? So if this object, let me just do it this way. If this object is 1 meter, right? And the shadow at the point of midday, it's called midday. Shadow at the point of midday is maybe 10 cm. Okay, the overall shadow at the end of Zohor, right, needs to be 1.1 meters. Right, 1 meter and 10 cm. Because you must take into account the extra shadow that was there when the sun was exactly overhead. Okay, then plus exactly the length of the object. Then now at this point, you will say Zohor ends. Okay? Alright, so I went through it in Subhanahu. So it's revision for you all. Revision. Okay. So and so for the shadow to move for the shadow, right, to actually move, for the shadow to actually move away from its small amount midday shadow to start Zohor, right? So from midday, right, between midday, right, midday to Zohor, it's about 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, it's very slight. It's about 5 to 10 minutes before Zohor. So if Zohor right now is 1:20, right? Zohor is 1:20. So which means midday is around 1:10. And actually I do wonder, if let's say we were to search, let's try, since we're online might as well. Right, what time is midday in Singapore? Let's see if our Zohor is, I try and search. Okay, midday in Singapore. Midday in see what time is our midday. Can they? I don't know whether they have it or not. They only give sunset and sunrise, and sun and moon times. I just wonder, like, if you were to just search for it, right? There's like, what time is our midday? What time is the midday in Singapore? Only sunrise and sunset. Okay lah. If you can find it lah, you can find it or not? You can search for it. I don't know lah. Right, what time is midday? Oh, it's zenith. They call it zenith. Zenith. Zenith in Singapore. Now got things come up pula. Okay, never mind. Like, what time is zenith in Singapore? Things all called zenith, but I want to know the time. Okay, it's okay lah. I'll go back to the PK. Zenith time. Oh, there. Why is Australia? Sorry. Why I asked for Singapore, they give me Australia. So which means that Allah, see lah, they don't zenith watches in Singapore. It's watchmaking. Allahu alam. But they gave the Australian time for some reason. Okay, so this is zenith, right? Zenith, So then anyone like find it here? 118, someone got it. Okay. 118. There was only a few minutes like for Zohor. What time was Zohor? Zohor is at 1:20. Is it Zohor? That means not even 5 to 10 minutes. 2 minute, 3 minute. Right. Where's our zenith time? Where you get the zenith time? Oh, here. Oh, it's called meridian. Okay. That means Zohor is here. Right. It's just it's a little bit off of the zenith. Because technically it says, male shams. The shams, the moment the sun moves off of its peak period, Zohor already. Right. That's why it is a big misconception. And I've heard Asatiza saying that the midday is 12 noon. Midday is not 12 noon. We don't live in a country whereby our midday is 12 noon. Our midday is like 1 minute before Zohor. That's our midday. Okay, so 12 noon is the mid of the day, but it's not midday. Inshallah. I just heard that day, someone said to me that one of the Asatiza was teaching fiqh, and then she said that if it's 12 noon, you cannot pray. No, not 12 noon. Midday. Midday is 1 minute or 2 minutes before Zohor. That is midday. 12 noon, pray all you want. 12 noon probably somewhere around here, right? I think yes, 12 noon is somewhere. See the timing? This is so fun. Okay, it's quite fun to play with. Later I'll look at it. This for the sake of fiqh lah. You see 12 noon? Where's the sun at 12 noon? It's still very much on the east. Mashallah. Okay, Margaret's so dainty today. Mashallah. Okay, anyway, going back to our our class. But it's interesting lah. I mean, like for me, I personally I like to not play, but I like to see all this stuff. Am I sharing it? No, I've not been sharing it, but I was looking at this one just now. Okay, but you see the midday is there, right? Yeah. So 12 is where? 12 is here. It's right here, 12. So it's still very far off from the mid. Yeah. So that day I heard one Ustazah was speaking about it. I was thinking, should I say something? should we correct the misunderstanding? And that day one of my students, when I was correcting her, because she came to my house and she was about to pray duha, then it was 12 noon. And then she just sat there. And then I said, why are you sitting down? And then she was like, cannot pray duha, it's 12 noon. And then I said, who said cannot pray duha at 12 noon? And he said, cannot what? It's haram timing, it's midday. And I said, okay, first and foremost, duha can be prayed at any time, right? Because duha, the reason for it came before the prayer. So anytime you can pray duha. Anytime. Doesn't matter haram or not haram timing. Anytime you want to pray duha, pray a duha. Secondly, 12 noon is not midday. so you can pray any prayer at 12 noon. It's okay. Right, mashallah. That day I heard the class, the teacher was saying that 12 noon cannot pray. And then someone said, what if I want to pray duha? Say, wait for 10 minutes and pray duha after 12 noon. Okay, like inshallah, they still pray at 12 noon. But you can pray at 12 noon, no problem. And then the student, she actually went back and she asked her mother about it. And she asked the mother, can we pray at 12 noon? And then the mother very confidently said, cannot. Haram timing to pray at 12 noon. No, midday. Midday is haram, right? Not 12 noon. And only for prayers whereby the reason for the prayer came after the prayer, right? Not all prayers. There's a lot of misunderstanding in this situation. Okay, never mind. Let me just continue with the other, with our, where am I? Okay, here. How do you all learn how to find this one? Okay. It's only when I began teaching online that I began to really see, like, that the Fajr Kazib, the Fajr Sadiq. You learn about it, but we've never actually seen it. Right? So when I went to search, what is this Fajr Kazib? And this Fajr Kazib, the false Fajr, is very beautiful. I think I showed you last year again. Very beautiful. It's a celestial phenomena. Right? But my mother actually, she said she notices it, because she will say that because my mom, she never likes to put on the light when she wakes up in the morning for her tahajjud. She's against artificial lighting, my mother. So she's very, natural in her ways. So she would not put on artificial lighting, but she would have like a small bulb to, like, in a sense, simulate candlelight kind of thing lah. Which is the way she is, lah, mashallah. But because of that, she notices that there is a point in the morning, right before subuh, whereby she can see in her room clearly. She notices that. There's a point, she should tell me, there's a point in the morning, but not subuh yet, she said. And she can actually see, it becomes bright, somewhat bright in her room. And she can see things around. Then it becomes dark again. And then it becomes brighter again because subuh comes. And then I said, that's probably the Fajr Kazib that nobody else notices. No one else knows about this Fajr Kazib that happens. Right? But she said it's actually quite distinct. But you must not have any artificial lighting for you to be able to experience the Fajr Kadhib. Probably in the deserts, when the time of Rasulullah, they had a very strong connection with nature, right? So when Fajr Kadhib happens, they see the desert bright, right? And then when it goes into darkness again. Right? And then when they see when the real Fajr Sadiq comes up, then they see the Fajr Sadiq. Right? So mashallah, I mean, if you are far from artificial lighting, you will observe all these things. Like in Tarim, I used to walk on the streets under the moonlight, and it's bright. The streets are lit, and there is a shadow by the moon. The moon casts a shadow, right? And you can walk. It's lit. It's brightly lit and there is no street lamps, nothing. The moon lights up the streets. The moon, right? So which is why for them, when there's an eclipse of the moon, they notice it. Right, because the full moon is very bright. It is very bright. Right, it is a lamp that is in the night. that you can see your way through through the streets. So when there's no moon, right, it's actually pitch dark in the streets of Tarim. And I used to I was like, mashallah, I used to wonder like, how come got shadow on the ground? And I was saying, there are no street lamps. Where is shadow coming from? Then my husband was like, the full moon lah. Like, the full moon is casting a light. But it's just all these city dwellers never noticed that the moon actually causes for shadows to form on the ground. MashaAllah. Okay, anyway. So this is Zohor, So we're going to Asar, Zohor perfect timing. So again, the last year I went into all the different types of timing. Right, so you have Waqtul Fadilah. Right, so the first waqt is Waqtul Fadilah. Right, the first waqt. Let's see this all over the place. Undo, erase. Okay, I'm going to write it out lah. Okay, preferred timing, right, is the first timing, right, for Zohor. Right, first timing. Okay, waqt Fadilah. Okay. And what is that for all the 5 prayers? The Waqtul Fadilah is the beginning of the prayer time, right? So, and the beginning of prayer time refers to, or it is the beginning of the prayer time. Where's my son? Okay, the beginning of the prayer time, right, is the amount of time it takes for you, right? So again, the amount of time takes for you to prepare for the prayer, right? And this constitutes azan, okay, azan, tahara, cover aurat, azan, tahara, cover aurat, iqama, sunnah, qabliyah. Okay, all right. Then the wajib, the fardu prayer. Okay, this is waqtu fadilah. The amount of time taken to do all these things, right? So you see the prayer time come in, right? First thing, azan. The amount of time for azan. So maybe azan about 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, tahara. Okay, go and istinja, whatever, go and tahara. Cover aurat, right? Iqama. Okay, sunnah qabliyah. So you would say the fadilah prayer timing is about 20 minutes, right? 20 minutes, 25 minutes around there. Okay, and then perform the fardhu prayer, right? It comes to an end at a time called ikhtiyar. So ikhtiyari ila akhirihi. So the timing for Zohor comes to an end. So after then comes the time called ikhtiyar until the end of the period of Zohor. So ikhtiyar means by choice, right? Ikhtiyar means by choice, to pray by choice. Right, to pray by choice. And that is after the beginning time, the fadilah timing. This is the fadilah timing. What's the fadilah? Put it here. Okay, waqtul fadilah. Just waqtul fadilah. Okay, and then ikhtiyar is after this 20 minutes of fadilah. Probably is 20 minutes. Right, 20 minutes. Thereabouts lah. Okay. Technically, it is, if you spend your entire time preparing for the prayer, whatever time you begin to pray, that is your waqtu fadilah. Okay, well, that is your waqtu fadilah. Right, so the entire time you prepare for the prayer, right? Even if you pray like half an hour later, but the whole time that half an hour you're preparing for the prayer, right? So then it's counted. It's counted as waqtu fadilah. Right, so then after that it's come ikhtiyar at the end of the period, and the end of the period is the beginning of asar, which is when the shadow is the same level, the same length as the shadow of the object, and a little bit more. Then you have come into asar, just a little bit more. Okay. For Zohor, what is haram timing? And remember this in Safin Najah, what is haram timing is when you are haram, meaning that is haram for you to have delayed the Zohor to this timing if you have no valid Sharia reason. It's haram for you to delay Zohor to that timing. It does not mean it is haram for you to perform the Zohor at that timing, because you must perform Zohor no matter what. Zohor is wajib. So when we say haram timing, we say that it's haram. The haram is the delaying. The haram is the delaying, not the performance. Right? Because I have had students who misunderstand when we say haram timing of Zohor is not enough time to even pray 1 raka'at, right? In the Zohor timing, then they say, then do I not pray? Do I wait until after Zohor then I pray? Or when should I pray? No, the word haram here means it was haram for you to delay it to that timing. But of course, the moment you can pray, you should pray immediately. Immediately. So don't say, oh, haram timing cannot pray. No, pray, 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 right? Because you missed the prayer. Right? The earlier you do it, the lesser your sin. Right? So because you're already sinful because you pushed the prayer all the way to its very end. Right? So you say haram timing meaning haram for you to delay the prayer till there is not enough time to perform the prayer in its timing. Okay, so the haram is, Zohor is 4 rak'ats, right? 4 rak'ats. Okay, 4 rak'ats takes you about, I don't know, 7-10 minutes. Okay, 7 to 10 minutes. Okay, Zohor comes out now. Asar is 4:38. Okay, so 4:38, Zohor comes out at 4:38 lah. Right. So if you begin praying at 4:33, at 5 minutes, 4:33. Right, that is a very very macro timing. But you can fit the 4 rak'ats in the 5 minutes. Okay, it's not haram on you. You can fit. But you're gonna rush to your prayer. It's gonna be astaghfirullah azim. You're gonna rush. Okay. If you begin praying at 4:35, right, and Asr ends at 4:38. So at 4:35 you can pray. Right? There's 3 more minutes to Asr. Confirm you cannot fit 4 rak'ahs in 3 minutes. I don't think it's possible. Is it possible? Right? I don't think you can't fit 4 rak'ahs in 3 minutes. Right? So must you pray? Yes, you must. Is it haram if you had delayed the prayer to that timing? Yes, haram. Haram on you. That you did not pray the entire of Zohor in its timing. But you're gonna spill Zohor into Asar timing. Okay. Is your prayer counted as qada or ada? Is it prayed in its time or is it prayed as a qada prayer? We say ada. As long as you can pray 1 raka'at in the prayer timing is counted as ada. Right? If you cannot pray even 1 raka'at in the prayer timing, it is counted as qada. Regardless, you have to pray. Regardless of all of this, you have to pray. And the sin will fall on your negligence. Right? So if you were negligent and you delayed the prayer to that kind of timing, whether it's qada or ada, you're still sinful. You're still, and that requires a tawbah. You must tawbat from it, you must repent from it, and then begin to pray properly. Okay? So the end of so I hope you understand. So to not be sinful or to not gain the sin of having left the prayer or missed the prayer, to not gain the sin of having missed the prayer, you must pray the prayer before the end of its timing. Okay. If you pray such that you could only get 1 raka'at at least in its timing, your prayer is counted as ada. It is done in its time, but you are sinful in doing that. If you pray that you can't even do 1 rakat in its timing, that means you pray, you begin your Fatiha, Asar Azan already. You come into Asar. You're not praying even 1 rakat is not enough to fit in the time of Zohor. You went into Asar, right? You pray your prayer, yes. You are sinful for having missed Zohor in its timing. You are sinful for having missed Zohor in its timing. So that requires tawbah. Tawbah, but must you still pray? Yes, you must still pray. No matter what, must still pray. No matter what. Okay, let's continue. The beginning of time of Asar times is at the end of Zuhur, added a moment, lahza. Right? So Zuhur ends lahza. Right? So the moment the shadow is the same length as the object, with the additional zenith shadow, right? Extra a bit more. The very next moment is Zuhur. The very next moment is Asar. The very next moment. So where Zuhur ends, Asar begins. Where Zuhur ends, Asar begins. Exactly. All right. For Asar, right, there are 4 period types. Right. So for Zuhur, you just say ikhtiyari and we say fadila. Right. So fadila and ikhtiyar. Right. So fadila for 20 minutes and ikhtiyar is thereafter until Asar. Okay, and there is also haram timing. Remember last year I went through all different times with you all. Right, it's haram timing, and then there is makruh time. Then there is haram timing, and then there is ittirar, right, whereby you have to jama', right, jama' zuhur and asar, right, jama' ta'khir of zuhur into asar and so on. Last year I went through all of this with you all. I hope you all remember. Okay, asar, there are 4 types of prayer timing: preferred period, right? Priority, right? And that's the same, the start of a time, ikhtiyar, right? Ikhtiyar is what? Until the shadow of the item is twice as long as the original item. Twice as long as the original item, ikhtiyar. Okay, so after ikhtiyar is jawaz. Ikhtiyar means like it's a choice you want to pray at that time. It's okay. It's like it's okay lah. It's okay. Right? Jawaz means you can still pray, but it's lesser in its virtue as compared to ikhtiyar, lesser in its virtue until the sun becomes yellow. Okay, sun becomes yellow. Right, then the offensive period, makruh. Right, so makruh is when the sun is yellow until the end of the asar prayer timing. Okay, all right, and then same thing again. There's a haram time whereby you can't even get the prayer in the prayer timing. That's haram already. Right, but haram on the delaying, not haram on the performance. The performance of the prayer is compulsory no matter what. The haram is on you delaying it, right? And then qada, right? If it will go beyond the asar timing, that is called qada, right? Qada timing for asar. And then there is ittirar, whereby the asar is brought forward to zuhur, right? For the traveler, that is jama' taqdeem. Okay, there are a few footnotes here. Number 16, it is due, no, number 17, ikhtiyar refers to the choice of performing the prayer in it. It is preferred over the jawaz timing. Basically, as soon as you can, you should pray. Right? As soon as you can, as early as you can, you should pray. Um, all right. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad. Okay. Naam. Okay. All right. So as soon as you can, you should pray. And the fadila, and it's in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that at the beginning, those who pray at the beginning of the prayer time, meaning the fadila timing, and those who pray at the beginning of prayer time, the fadila timing, then for him is the ridwan of Allah. And the ridwan, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those who pray in the middle of a timing, then for him it is the rahmah, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for the one who pray at the end of the timing, end of the timing is basically enough time to fit the prayer in. For him is the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because he rushed through his prayer. Right, inshallah. Okay. Okay, na'am. So no, what the uzr is when you have to jama' the prayers. Nah, okay. So for ikhtiyar, right, is twice as long as the original item. I just draw it very quickly, lah. Right, so the item is here. It's your item. Okay, there's always an original shadow that is because of the midday. This is the midday shadow. So you cannot count, okay? And then you have the Zohor shadow that is as long as the item. Then you have let me just draw another one. Times 2, right? This brings you to the Jawas. Okay? This is so from here to here, 20 minutes is Fadila. Okay, then from here to here, right, this one is Ikhtiyar. Right, Jawaz begins from here. Okay, and onwards until the sun becomes visibly very yellow. Okay, it's very close to the sunset. It has not begun to set yet, right? But it is she has begun, yes. It is very close to the sunset. Okay, the yellowing of the sun. Al-isfirar, right? And then it is disliked to pray till the end of the asar prayer. The end of the asar time is when the sun has set. Okay, when the sun has the end of the asar time is when the sun have set. Right. So okay. Then you have the hurmah and the uzr. The hurmah is what is haram is after asar. That is haram, right? Or not having enough time to pray even one rak'at, right? Is haram. And uzr is when you have to jama', right? Jama' between asar and zuhur, as you've gone through from before. Okay, I'm going through all in one go because we went through all this before, right? Okay, then Maghrib. I'll answer the questions in one, inshallah. So, أول المغرب بالغروب ويبقى حتى يغيب الشفق الأحمر وهو أول وقت العشاء. Right, the beginning time of Maghrib is when the sun has set. So the entire disk of the sun goes below the horizon. Right, the whole disk of the sun goes below the horizon. I do wonder how people last time figure this out. Like yesterday, I was like waiting for breakfast for buka. Then it was raining very heavily. This during asar time was raining very heavily. Then I was looking at the sky. I was like, how 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 in the world do you tell that it's Maghrib? Because like I didn't have my phone with me, and I didn't know, I had no radio. I had no radio with me. So I was like, can I trust my watch? Because Maghrib is 7:22. Is my watch trustworthy? So, do I break my fast now at 22? Then I look at it, I look up to the sky, and I was like, this is impossible. I can't tell I can't tell a thing. Like it's just cloud everywhere. It's just raining. You can't tell. I can't tell. Is the sun still up? Is it gone? I don't know. Right, it's just wait until 7:25 then break fast. I just to play safe lah. But really I wonder, mashallah, that people in the past, how did they tell? How did they, mashallah. The city dwellers, all these modern day human beings, all we depend on is our clock. Then we on the radio. Here the radio seems to know everything. On the radio, and hear the radio, what the radio says. Then like we have like full yaqeen when the radio has done the azan. Right, like when we look at our clock, we like watched 7:22. Don't know whether my watch is correct or not. Then you see the clock 7:20, and you see another clock 7:25, and you're wondering which one do I follow? Mashallah. Yeah, but mashallah, I always wonder that how do people in the past know this, especially in like overcast countries like Singapore. So much clouds in the sky. How do you tell? Mashallah. But it's amazing. I guess they have their ways of how they tell. And the beginning time of Maghrib is sunset and lasts till the disappearance of the redness in the sky. Right, redness is a red hue. Right, a red hue right in the sky, and that is when Isha begins. Okay, Maghrib, the Fadila timing, the Ikhtiyar timing, the Jawaz, all of the timing is in the Fadila timing. Technically, for Maghrib, you should pray ASAP for Maghrib. Right? There should not be a delay in Maghrib. Right? That is the ruling in the Shafi'i Mazhab. But of course, there is a separate ruling that says the time for Maghrib lasts till Isha. Right? But there is a ruling that says the time for Maghrib is ASAP. Right? So enough time to hear the azan, call the azan, tahara, cover aurat, pray 2 rakats qabliyah, pray Maghrib. Qamat, and then pray Maghrib. Enough time for this. That is Maghrib. See, that is the whole of Maghrib. And beyond that is not Maghrib anymore. That is the opinion in the Shafi'i Mazhab. But we are acting on the previous opinion that says Maghrib is until Isha. Because it's so difficult if Maghrib is only 20 minutes. If Maghrib is only 20 minutes, how many of us miss Maghrib? Subhanallah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Okay, na'am. That indicates to start off Isha. Okay, and he has 3 timings, which is Fadila. Right? Allah, I don't want to highlight the Arabic journal. Okay. Alright. So there is 3 timings, right? So for Maghrib, all the timings are together in one go. Alright? So for Isha, right? So for Isha, there are 3 timings. So again, the Fadila timing, the preferred period, Fadila timing, which is 20 minutes. Then you have Ikhtiyar till 1/3 of the night. 1/3 of the night has passed by. So if you think how long is the night? So the night, maybe Maghrib is 7:20. Right, Subuh is 5:50, for example. Okay, 7 to 5:50, how long is that? Okay, so make it easy lah. So it's maybe from 7 to 5. Okay, 7 to 5, 7 o'clock Maghrib, 5 o'clock Subuh, you count the hours. 7 to 5 is about 10 hours. 10 hours. Yeah, 10 hours. Okay, 10 hours, 1/3 will be 3, right? About 3 hours, 3.5 around there. Okay, so 7 plus 3.5, 10:30. So if you pray Isha before 10:30, you are in the Ikhtiyar period. If you pray after 10:30, you have left the Ikhtiyar period. You are in the Jawaz period. It's a secondary period. It's not the best one lah. The best is the preferred one. Then Ikhtiyar before 10. Try and get your Isha in before 10 or before 11, right? PM. And then, so try and get your Isha in before 11 p.m. to kind of catch the Ikhtiyar period. Right? But after that, it's all permissible. Jawaz means permissible until the appearance of true dawn. Right? True dawn is a light that spreads across the horizon. The time of subuh has 4 periods, preferred in the beginning, right? And then ikhtiyar until the time of brightness of the morning. And jawaz is when the rays of the sun will appear, and then the offensive period, right? So ikhtiyar is when, sometimes for subuh, right? It's not sunrise yet, but the sky is bright. That is ikhtiyar. The sky is bright, right? But there's no sun. The sun has not risen yet, right? And then the jawaz is when you can see the orange, the sky turning orange, right? But the sun still has not appeared yet. The sun has not appeared yet. And then coming the brightness of the sun appears, and that is offensive. I had to pray there. Okay. Uh right. So it is okay, okay, I'll stop there for inshallah for today, and later on I will continue this part. Okay, there are questions here. Then you have to go for your other class. Let's see. Okay, the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, is for everybody lah, inshallah. So I ask for the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu only for those who deliberately delay their prayer. No, Allah's forgiveness is for all, right? So especially if you have no choice but to delay your prayer to the end, inshallah, Allah's forgiveness for you. Okay. Is there any how to identify when Zohor ends and Asar starts? The shadow lah, shadow. Right. So when the shadow is the same length as the object, Zuhur ends, Asar starts. All right. Can you perform qada prayers in Jama'ah? The answer is yes, you can perform Jama' prayers in you can perform qada prayers in Jama'ah, yes. Okay, we'll stop there for today. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.